Welcome back to the next part of my Blu-ray collection. In this video, we're literally going to get through all the S's and start on the T's. So up first for the two Safe movies I have, we have Safe Haven, which is actually pretty decent, and Safe House, which is also pretty decent. And then a double feature of Salvage and Mortuary, two movies I have not watched yet. Saturday Night Fever, the director's cut. I know it's a classic, but I have not watched that yet. Sausage Party, this is pretty good, but I've also said numerous times before that was, on my previous channel, that is probably the most useless steelbook I have. Saving Mr. Banks, awesome movie. And then Saving Private Ryan, which is another great movie. So those are the two Tom Hanks saving movies right next to each other. Saw the complete movie collection. I don't have Jigsaw yet. This comes with Saw, Saw 2, Saw 3, Saw 4, Saw 5, Saw 6, and Saw the Final Chapter. The first three are really good. The final chapter is decent, and 4, 5, and 6 they're just okay. Say Anything, again, I know it's a classic, but I haven't watched it yet. Scarface, one of my all-time favorites. Schindler's List, this I have seen. This is really sad, but it's really good. Double feature of Scooby-Doo and Scooby-Doo 2, Monsters Unleashed, two childhood classics. The Scream 5-film set, this comes with Scream, Scream 2, Scream 3, and then still Screaming the, the Ultimate Scream retrospective, or Scary Movie retrospective, and Scream the Inside Story, those are two documentaries. And then Scream 4. I am a huge fan of the Scream franchise. I will do a video maybe one day of my Scream collection that I have, because it's just a lot more than this. And then we have Searching, really good. Second Act, that's a fun little comedy. Sex and the City, surprisingly really good. I don't have the sequel, although the sequel is just okay. I have seen that. Sharpay's Fabulous Adventure. I have that because I have High School Musical 2 and 3, and I forgot that they did a spin-off movie. And I am a completist, so I figured I had to get that, even though I don't have the first one yet. I have not watched it. I can only gather that it's trash. Shawn Michaels, Mr. WrestleMania, a documentary that I have not watched yet. Shooter, also a movie I haven't watched yet. And two more movies I haven't watched yet, Short Circuit and Short Circuit 2. And for those kids that are watching, that is not Wall-E, that is Johnny Five. Johnny Five is alive. Showgirls, this movie is bad, but it's so great. It's definitely one of my all-time favorites. Sideways, I've not watched that yet. Sing, it's a good animated movie. Skyfall, great James Bond. Skyscraper, that's a fun one. Sleepwalking, I've not watched that yet. Sling Blade, that was really good, although really stupid how they didn't include the director's cut on there. And then we move over here. Snakes on a Plane, trash, but good trash, that's a lot of fun. Snatch, that's a great crime movie. And then Snatched, which is a fun comedy. Solo, a Star Wars story, a really good Star Wars movie. I really hope they do continue making the sub-movies like that, because those are a lot of fun. Sorry to Bother You, really weird, but really good. Source Code, fantastic movie. If you're a fan of Jake Gyllenhaal, you need to watch that. Southland Tales, I've not watched that yet. Southpaw, another fantastic Jake Gyllenhaal movie. Space Jam, classic. Spectre, that's a great James Bond movie. Speed Racer, I love this movie. This movie is so underrated. And then we got Spider-Man. Spider-Man 2. My two editions of Spider-Man 3. I don't know why I own two of those. Spider-Man Homecoming. And Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse. All of these are really great. Even Spider-Man 3, there's no reason that movie has gotten as much hate as it does. I am really looking forward to Spider-Man Far From Home. I do own the Amazing Spider-Man movies. We'll get to those in literally a few minutes. Split, awesome movie. Spotlight, that's really great. Spring Breakers, I will defend this movie until the day I die. This is an underrated masterpiece. It's really fantastic. I think Harmony Korine, that is his best movie that he's ever done, and that's not being hyperbolic, that's not being facetious or sarcastic. It's the truth. I also loved The Beach Bum that he did. That movie was great. So, yeah, really, really underrated. Spy, great, solid comedy. Spy Game, I have not watched that yet. Standoff, I also have not watched that yet, although I do love Brendan Fraser. And then we have Star Wars Episode 7, The Force Awakens, by far and away the best Star Wars movie so far, because The Rise of Skywalker still has a few months to come out. And then Star Wars Episode 8, The Last Jedi, also really good. I'm getting really, really tired. This is becoming a trend, not only with Star Wars, but this happened recently with Game of Thrones. I'm getting really, really tired of stuff like The Last Jedi and Game of Thrones getting hate because the movie didn't, or the movie or the series didn't go in the direction that you wanted it to go in. If you watched the movie and you genuinely did not like it because you were like, oh, it's too long, I thought the writing was kind of unpolished, you know, this, that, and the other, fine. You're human, you're allowed to do that. Or if you're a fan of the movie and you hate it because of this, that, and the other, if you hate it for legitimate reasons, fine. But these people that are like, oh, Rian Johnson is the, the devil incarnate for making The Last Jedi, and attacking actors that were in the movie like they did because they were in the movie is just vile and disgusting. Over a movie, a Star Wars movie, I don't think so. Which is why I know I'm going to anger a lot of people when I say that The Last Jedi is really, really great. Oh, that was my Blu-ray player closing. Actually scared me for a minute because it's been so silent in here. Stolen, I've not watched that yet. Another WWE documentary, Stone Cold Steve Austin, the bottom line on the most popular superstar of all time. I've not watched that yet, but I do like me some Steve Austin. Storks, that's a fun animated movie. Straight Outta Compton, that's a great movie. Street Fighter, cheesy but awesome. I love that one. And then Street Fighter, The Legend of Chun-Li, which I have not watched. Saint Vincent, brilliant movie. Suicide Squad, highly underrated. Really love that one. Then we got the classic Super Troopers. And then the really, really solid sequel, Super Troopers 2. Suspiria, this is the remake to Suspiria. This is really, really good. I think it's really trippy. I kind of prefer that over the original, even though the original is also really good in its own right. The two of them are very different movies. Switch, this is a new movie that I just recently picked up. I've not watched it yet, but I looked at it and read the synopsis, and I'm all for Hong Kong action movies. T2 Trainspotting, this is the sequel to Trainspotting, really good. I do have Trainspotting, but we'll get to that later. Table 19, really underrated, great movie. Tag, that's a lot of fun. And then we got Taken, Taken 2, and Taken 3. The first movie is awesome. 2 and 3 are pretty good. Take Me Home Tonight, super underrated. Takers, I've not watched that yet. Talladega Nights, The Ballad of Ricky Bobby, that's a pretty fun one. Tammy, that's decent. Taxi Driver, really, really cool digibook, but I know it's a classic. I've not seen that yet. Then we got Ted and Ted 2, both pretty solid. Team America World Police. This is, I know I'm going to get a lot of weird reactions. This is my second favorite movie of all time. I really do love this movie, and I was excited when I picked it up on Blu-ray. And when that fact that it got a Blu-ray release at all is great. I'm not happy with how they handled this, though. First of all, the Blu-ray is only the theatrical cut. It's not the unrated cut. And second of all, none of the special features that are on the DVDs are on this. So really, really disappointed with how they handled it. I mean, it looks and sounds great, but I would have preferred all of the content be carried over. I do have the unrated cut of the movie on DVD just as a backup. This is a 4-film favorite set. This kind of should be up there, but whatever. The Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles collection. This comes with Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 2, The Secret of the Ooze, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 3, and TMNT. The original 3 are great. I do even love the third one. And the second one has the greatest movie moment of all time in which the Turtles dance on stage with Vanilla Ice. TMNT I've seen twice, and I really don't care for it. Just both times I've seen that movie, I'm like, whatever. And then we have Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, the reboot and the sequel. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, Out of the Shadows. Both really fun. Teen Titans Go to the Movies. That's a fun little movie. Then Terminator Genesis and Terminator Salvation. Salvation's pretty good. I actually really loved Genesis. I do own the first 3 films, but they're on DVD. Oh, that's a tight fit. Then we got Thank You for Your Service. Really sad movie, but really great movie. The Accountant. That's really, really good. Then we got The Amazing Spider-Man and The Amazing Spider-Man 2. Both really underrated movies. I don't understand why those movies got the hate that they did. Andrew Garfield definitely is not the best Spider-Man, but he definitely wasn't horrible. Then for a few movies I haven't seen, we have The Assassination of Jesse James by the coward Robert Ford, The Aviator, and The Bank Job. Again, 3 movies I have not yet watched. The Benchwarmers, kind of a classic in my mind. I did grow up with this movie, and I do quote it with my friends a lot. There is a Benchwarmers 2, but they released it on DVD only, and I have not watched it yet. But I love this. We are cops. We're Navy SEALs. Navy SEALs aren't cops. I'm undercover. Another WWE, The Best of W in Your House. I've not watched this yet, but I got that for classic wrestling matches. The Big Lebowski, one of my top 10 favorites of all time. Yeah, now for the big movies. The Big Short, that's a great, great movie. The Big Sick, awesome movie, such a sweet movie. The Black Coat's Daughter, I love Emma Roberts, got a huge crush on her. She's really, really good, and that is a phenomenal movie. Then we have The Boondock Saints and The Boondock Saints 2, All Saints Day. Both of them are actually really, really good. I know the second one gets a lot of flack, but I actually really do enjoy the second one. The Boss, that was pretty decent. The Boy Next Door, I had a bad movie night with this movie. It's decent but goofy fun. The Breakfast Club, that's a classic. This is probably the most rare Blu-ray I own. I didn't even realize how rare and out of print this was until I looked it up, but this is The Cable Guy. This is one of my all-time favorite movies. I do love it. I picked it up for, I think, $12 or $13, which at the time I almost passed on because I'm like, that's too much for me. I'll wait until it goes down to like 10 or below, but I'm like, you know what? I really don't see that movie out in the wild on Blu-ray. I'm gonna pick it up. Glad I did, because that goes for like $90 to $100 on Blu-ray. That's ridiculous. The Campaign, that's all right. That's decent. The Change-Up, again, that's decent. The Chaperone, I have not watched that yet. The Commuter, that's a decent Liam Neeson movie. The Condemned and The Condemned 2, 2 movies I have not yet watched. The Counselor, highly underrated. I would recommend that. The second of 2 Scream Factory movies that I own, The Craft, really excellent movie. The Crow, awesome movie. I don't own the sequels on Blu-ray or DVD, but I have seen them. City of Angels and Salvation are actually I actually thought they were really good. And Wicked Prayer sucks. We got the Dark Knight trilogy. This obviously coming with Batman Begins, The Dark Knight, and The Dark Knight Rises. 3 classic movies. The Defiant Ones, brilliant documentary. Highly recommend that. Triple feature of The Delta Force, Missing in Action, and Missing in Action 2, The Beginning. 3 movies I have not yet watched. Then we got The Departed, one of my all-time favorite movies, or The Departed. The Descendants, I have not watched that yet. The Devil's Rejects, one of my all-time favorites. I am looking forward to the other one coming out. I think it's either this year or next year. I will say, though, this is another case where the DVD has a lot more special features than the Blu-ray. I should have mentioned that, too, with another movie that I saw. This one right here, Reservoir Dogs, because a lot of the DVD features from that are mysteriously missing from the Blu-ray. The Devil Wears Prada, that's pretty decent. The Disaster Artist, brilliant movie. And then we have the Divergent series Allegiant and the Divergent series Insurgent. Decent enough movies. I do own Divergent, but it's all the way up in D. They're decent, but I do think it's really stupid what Summit and Lionsgate did with this. Their original plan was that Allegiant was going to be the third and final movie, but then they saw how well both Divergent and Insurgent did at the box office, and they're like, okay, we're now all of a sudden going to split Allegiant up into 2 parts. I don't remember what the 4th movie was going to be called, but then this came out, bombed, and the 4th movie got canceled. They tried reviving it, but Shailene Woodley was like, no, I don't want to do it anymore. So, kind of stupid. I wish they would have handled that a lot better. Then we got The Equalizer, awesome movie, and then the really solid sequel, The Equalizer 2. The Exorcist, probably one of the greatest horror movies ever made and one of the scariest. And then we'll finish up here with The Fast and the Furious and The Fast and the Furious Tokyo Drift. Again, great movies. So that's it for this part. Stay tuned for the next part where we just go through some more of the tea. Thanks for watching. Bye.